Mustafa here at PerformanceIN. We're sitting at PI Live 2019, and I'm here with our first interview with Ian Charlesworth from Awin. How are you doing, Ian?
Morning, Mustafa. Doing very well, thank you. I can't believe it's PI Live 2019 and how quickly a year comes around, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And so we'll sort of touch on the first thing. Awin, this is your 13th consecutive year as a headline sponsor and involved in the event. Why is PI Live such an important event in the calendar year?
So I think there's a kind of an Awin perspective and there's an industry perspective in terms of this. I think for the industry, what you have in sort of one environment is something for everybody, right? So if you're a new influencer looking to learn more about the space, if you're a new tech partner who's really trying to get traction, it's an amazing opportunity to do that. Obviously from an Awin perspective, and hopefully most people here know who we are. So it's less about building awareness about who we are and what we do. It's more just a great opportunity for us to connect with all of those people, existing clients, existing publishers, make sure those relationships are really in a good position, but also meet with new people and just really take the temperature of what's happening in the industry. I think for delivering that, for all the different kinds of attendees, it's a phenomenal event.
Oh, great. Great stuff, Ian. And sort of talking about we'll talk about the industry just a little bit, but in regards to kind of Awin's delivery over the last few years, and sort of kind of touched on in your main stage session earlier on today, and also kind of the last few weeks, so kind of it's all about that sort of vision, looking at 2020 ahead, and sort of it's coming to your 20th anniversary as well, isn't it? And it's like kind of having that sort of future-proof kind of blueprint in terms of future-proof your affiliate campaigns, and sort of going forward and stuff. Do you believe with stuff you sort of developing, it's just kind of as a reflection of the industry, sort of a necessary step for us to go forward?
I'd certainly say for Awin, it's a necessary step. I think we feel a responsibility to the industry at large, to our clients, to our publishers, to have a technology platform that enables the sort of transparency and trust that they expect from the channel. And what we've seen particularly over the last year is a lot of moves from browsers to try and really in response to consumer concerns around privacy, and so you've seen lots of changes come through from the browsers with ITP, etc. And I think from Awin's perspective, we're kind of looking at the core of how we operate, how the industry operates, and say, well, if there isn't a foundation of trust, and if there isn't that foundation of accuracy, then what can you build on top of that? And if you allow that trust and transparency to get to be eroded, which things like ITP could have potentially have done, then that should be a concern to all of us. So the reason this has been such a big focus, and we talk about future-proofing the industry, is that this is really the core. There's amazing things that happen around the periphery, and you got thousands of people here talking about some really cool stuff that's happening at the edge, but those edge things really can't deliver on their promise if the core of tracking and trust and transparency, if those foundation elements aren't in place, then you're never going to get the value from these sort of edge cases and interesting investment opportunities.
Cool. Great stuff, thanks, Ian. And sort of touching on these sort of the foundations, Awin certainly put some foundations in place, particularly some of the offerings, from the bounce tracking you just announced, and also the advertising master tag, which has helped support affiliates kind of overcoming those kind of challenges in the industry. What's kind of been the sort of direct results since those elements have been rolled out?
So if I might, I'm going to invert the question a little bit, because I think it's more cases if we hadn't have done those things, what would have happened? And I think, going back to my previous point, if we hadn't innovated with regards to this, with the bouncers tracking and really pushing both the advertiser master tag and the publisher master tag, then I think we would have found more questions being asked, rightfully so, of advertisers about transparency of publisher performance, and publishers in terms of accuracy of tracking and accuracy of commission payments fundamentally. And so we have to kind of negate that. We have to move beyond that. So when you ask me what's the direct consequence, and the direct consequence is we still have those amazing trusted relationships and that transparency that is needed. And if we hadn't have done those things, then I think there would be some question marks. And we've seen that directly from clients that we've won. who are coming from environments where that isn't the place, right? So where the tracking isn't working in a transparent way, and the advertiser saying, well, I'm less confident than I was a year ago about what I'm investing in now, and so we have to address that.
Brilliant overview there, Ian. And sort of kind of following that, look at the advertisers and the publishers. Kind of what actionable tips can you share for them to kind of look to diversify their affiliate strategy and kind of utilize just the opportunities available, such as the offerings that Awin have currently.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the kind of watchwords for me for the next couple of years are trust, which I think I probably laboured that point quite a lot, but also flexibility, right? And because what I'm hearing, particularly in the UK at the moment, there are parts of our industry from a macro context that aren't doing particularly well. UK retail is in difficult position, and you're seeing across other industries, there are some major brands that are struggling, right? They're struggling to transition their own businesses digitally, and they're looking at all of their investments and all their channels and saying, well, where do I focus? And I think from Awin's perspective, what we want to be able to offer is flexibility, right? So this is why things like the advertiser and publisher mass tag are so critical to our strategy, because they are the gateway to this ecosystem of tech partners that we're building. And what we want to do is make it really, really easy for advertisers and publishers to experiment and test with some of these amazing innovative companies without having to build complex business projects themselves internally, right? If you have the master tag in place, we can enable that functionality for you, and all the commission payments, etc., just happens through the Awin platform. So having that trust as the foundation, and then using the master tags as this gateway to the ecosystem of tech partners that deliver the agility that I think all businesses are looking for.
Great stuff, Ian. And sort of one last question to kind of wrap that all up. So it was a conversation we just had now, and also we interviewed Adam Ross last week, sort of touching upon Awin's future positioning, and we mentioned the 20th anniversary. So congratulations on that. With 2020 on the horizon, kind of what trends do you see emerging? We discussed about the trust and the ITP and sort of the data regulations, but what sort of other emerging trends do you see in the coming months, and how best should we, as an industry together, be equipped to accomplish those?
Okay. So I could talk for a long time on this one. I'll try and keep it succinct. Yeah, I think that the trends that we're seeing from our industry's perspective is a subtle change in terms of how we view customer journeys and how we label different parts of the industry, right? So it used to be sort of publisher and advertiser, and I think increasingly that is not a helpful definition or categorization, because you're having publishers that are major brands that are executing customer journeys and transactions on their websites. You're having advertisers working in partnership with other advertisers, if you like, as publishers, and so this whole space is mixing, and I think what you're going to see is some really exciting customer journeys and customer propositions come from that sort of mixing up of some of the traditional definitions that we've used in the past. Hopefully that was succinct.
No, perfect. That was brilliant. Thanks for kind of wrapping up that those questions we've asked today. And yeah, we're really excited to see what Awin has to offer for 2020. Sounds like you've got the right foundations in place, and you really support the industry going forward. So yeah, kudos to that. Thank you, Ian, for taking the time to speak with PerformanceIN at PI Live. And yeah, we wish you all the best for 2020. Enjoy the rest of the event, and yeah, we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Mustafa. Thanks. See you soon.
See you soon.